What is up, Earthnoids and Space Noids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are finally diving into Mobile Suit Gundam side story, Missing Link, the manga, not the game. In this story, we will learn of EFF's Slave Wraiths and Zeon's Marchosias squad. We will be introduced to some new mobile suits that we have been missing from our one-year war coverage as well. This manga is an adaptation of the PlayStation 3 video game. Like Rise from the Ashes, I don't have any experience with the game, so I will rely on you to help fill any gaps in the comments that I may have missed. So let's get into this. Medeus comes entering into EFF airspace. They drop bombs onto the city. A team of mobile suits launch from the Medea-class ships. These are the Slave Wraiths. The RX-79G SW Slave Wraith, like the EZ-8, is a ground Gundam that is so modified that it required its own name. Its head has been changed and new optical sensors are added. It also has a new backpack system which we see here. This is a parachute pack that allows this unit to do drop missions alongside the Medea. The pack contains 3 parachutes and 4 thrusters. It also has wearable armor that when hit at a certain impact, it will internally set off a small explosion that will defuse the impact. Diffusing an explosion with an explosion, is that a thing? Someone tell me. It is also equipped with Vulcans, a chest multi-launcher, a beam saber, machine gun, and a similar loadout you find on the GM. It locks onto a series of Type 61 tanks. Have you noticed something about this situation? It is an EFF team attacking an EFF base. We cut to a man making his final walk through death row right before he is sentenced to the death penalty. This is Travis Kirkland, and he is being put to death on suspicion of espionage. We cut back to the Slave Wraith team. They have taken out the Type 61 tanks and stomp on a couple jeeps. One commander from the window of a Federation building yells out towards the squad and demands to know why they are attacking Allied forces and wants to know their names. He says they are Slave Wraiths. They are an eradication team designed to kill off parasites that feed off the Federation. He says that this base engages in fraudulent activities. One soldier in a bloodhound sends data to the EFF commander, evidence that they sold out EFF to Zeon. Remember, we have seen bloodhound used mainly by Elidor in 8th MS team. The EFF commander gets nervous and yells out to do it. Out of a hangar comes 3 Zakus. There is no need to hold back anymore. Travis tells his teammates, Bomber, Ripper, and Diver, to go to work. Bomber, Ripper, and Travis attack the Zakus while Diver runs support. They take out 2 Zakus and Travis slices through the remaining. He points his gun towards the EFF commander, but one Zaku gets back up and uses its Heat Hawk. Travis dodges the Heat Hawk and goes through the building, killing the EFF commander in the process. They shoot down the remaining Zaku. The team leaves on their Medea. Travis's internal monologue tells us about the team. They eliminate criminals within the military, track down people who abandon missions, and much more. Driver is the Medea pilot. Ripper killed a senior officer. Diver does the hacking, Bomber does the bombing, and Travis is the spy. They were once criminals, but are now at the beck and call of someone named Graves. Driver wonders what will happen to the base. Travis lets them know that ignorance is bliss. If they ask too many questions, they will be replaced. Ignorance is the survival strategy of the Slave Wraiths. Somewhere else, we meet the Marchosias team. This is a Zeon team of irregulars. This isn't like the good old boys that we saw in the plot to assassinate Giran, where the squad is mainly composed of people physically incapable of fighting. Rather, this team is made of elite soldiers who couldn't be put in the field due to a family member potentially betraying Zeon in some manner. Their squad is composed mainly of Zakus, but we see also an Ephr and a Zaku high mobility ground type. The MX08 TX Ephr is a prototype ground unit that is placed somewhere in between a goof and a dom. This is very much like a goof, but this unit specializes in more power output and sheer strength. This mobile suit also has special handheld weapons, making it one of the best close combat units. However, by this time in the war, Zeon focused their development on mobile suits for space as the landscape for war was changing. It has Vulcans, the same shotgun used by the Comfer, a triple 35mm Gatling gun, a giant bazooka, machine gun, and a head lancer, which is a longer ranged Heat Hawk. It also has 4 smoke dischargers for evasion. The MS06G Zaku 2 high mobility ground type is one unit that I always get confused with the standard goof. It has a similar horn on its shoulder and its design overlaps with the goof. This seems to happen a lot with Zeon, where 2 units are very similar and will eventually be consolidated into 1 unit. We also saw this with the MS06FS Zaku 2, which eventually became the Zaku 2 commander type. Its mobile suit has its joints reinforced and can take on more stress. It also has an upgraded backpack, and its shoulder shield is more aerodynamic than the base Zaku 2. It is equipped with the standard Zaku loadout, along with a recoilless rifle. A soldier of Marchosias gets an order to move out. He looks down at a picture of his family. His father appears to be Travis. We now know why he is on the Marchosias team. His father is a turncoat, and he can't be completely trusted. The Marchosias team is taking a break. They are trying to eat, but a sandstorm comes in, they're getting a mouthful of sand. One of these men is Vincent. He is the pilot of the Zaku 2 high mobility ground type. They begin complaining, but the commander, Doug Schneid, comes out of his Ephr and tells his squad to stop complaining. Some of them hope to be transferred to the Chimera Corps. They are all very antagonistic against one another and have adopted a survival of the fittest mindset. They get intel that the Federation plans on recapturing Mikuve's mining facilities sometime today. They go to intercept. One soldier, Liberio, is nervous about taking on mobile suits as they have only fought tanks thus far. As they move out, EFF intercepts with them first. They fire on the Marchosias team, taking out one of their men. They spot the Federation mobile suits at their 2 o'clock. It is the RX-79 gun tank. They are taken aback by the power of the gun tank, as its cannons are as powerful as a battleship. They are also out of range with their weapons, and they need to move in closer to the gun tanks. Vincent asks to go out. Schneid grants him permission. The commander realizes that it still moves like a tank, and they need to keep moving. Vincent goes in close and uses his heat hawk on the gun tank. It knocks him back, but the gun tank explodes. Medias suddenly drop a squad of GMs. One soldier doesn't even wait for orders and rips off the head of a GM. The commander tells his team to stay back, as they don't know what the GM is capable of. One Zaku goes down. Another soldier yells out his name. Ron Howard! Wait, Ron Howard, the redhead from Happy Days? Are you kidding me? The commander yells out, will you die for your career or save your life and start over? This has been said a few times and seems to be the mantra of the team. They fight for their lives. Later, the 7 survivors bury the 3 men they just lost. Some blame themselves, but Schneid says they should just consider themselves lucky to be alive. One of the soldiers, Liberio, cries, knowing he has less competition for a promotion. Later, General Revel would begin his sweep across Europe, reclaiming the mines. In October of UC 0079, Earth Federation forces make their move across Europe. It wasn't until November that EFF was able to push Zeon forces out of Odessa. Many Zeon soldiers who remained on Earth fled to the Amazon in South America. Corporal Anne Rose Rosenheim and Albert Bell are assigned to the Marchosias team. Guy thinks that they are quite young and complains to the commander, but he says he got over youth a long time ago. Vincent thinks to himself about how they were defeated at Odessa and barely came out alive. They restructure their team. Albert and Parker will support the commander. Anne Rose and Liberio will now be a part of Vincent's platoon, and Clay and Rittenwa will be a part of Guy's platoon. Their mission is to find an entrance to Jaburo and allow Zeon to infiltrate their base. Their commander yells out, don't prioritize your career over your life. This is a 360 to what the commander says before the Battle of Odessa. Will you die for your career or save your life and start over? With the loss of many soldiers and the use of young cadets, it is clear that they all went through a life change during the Battle of Odessa. Would have been cool if we saw that, but whatever. Albert begins shaking with fear. Anne Rose helps calm him down and calls him lucky. Vincent watches this moment. We cut back to the Slave Wraiths. Travis is still in his Slave Wraith, but Bomber is now in the RX-77 3D gun cannon Heavy Type D, and Ripper is now piloting the Gundam Pixie. The RX-77 3D gun cannon Heavy Type D is an improved gun cannon variant with better armor and better firing capabilities. However, it still sucks balls at mobility and can't see anything due to its 2 gun cannons. Its added thrusters in its legs also give it more weight and a better balance when firing the 240mm gun cannons, which has a better feed system than the original gun cannon. It also is equipped with Vulcans, the XBR M79A beam rifle, a rocket bazooka, and a shield and hand grenades. The RX-78 XX Gundam Pixie is a prototype close-quarters combat Gundam specifically designed for ace pilots to use during the Battle of Odessa. This Gundam is way lighter than Grandpa and doesn't contain the core block system. Essentially, you take out the core fighter, remove the space thrusters, and you have a slimmer version of the RX-78. It has 60mm Vulcans, a beam dagger, a 90mm submachine gun, a 90mm bulb-up machine gun, the BOA BGM-79F3A beam gun, which is somewhere in between a beam rifle and a beam spray gun, and is the same rifle used by the GM Command space type. We flash back to Travis talking to Diver, whose real name is Doris. He wants information on the so-called Marchosias team. He realizes that his son is on the Zeon team. The Slave Wraith team meets up with the Ghost team, composed of GMs. They refer to Travis's team as Graves Bastards. The two teams spot 8 Zakus plus 1 unknown aircraft at 5 o'clock. Ripper, whose real name is Fred, goes rushing forward in the Gundam Pixie. They engage in battle. Vincent and Travis see each other on the battlefield. Pixie goes up against Schneid's Ephr and a Zaku. Ripper rushes and takes out the Zaku with ease. Guy's platoon is driving some of the Slave Wraiths towards the water. Behind the Zakus, a mobile suit in subterfuge comes out of nowhere and destroys one unit. Nothing shows up on Marchosias team's radar, but Minovsky density increases. Vincent has lost signal to Guy's platoon in less than 2 minutes of action. He decides to go after the Slave Wraith, but he is stopped in his tracks. Out of the explosion comes the mysterious unit. It is the RX-80 PR Pale Rider. And that will do it for this episode. We are thrown a lot of new information in this series, but it definitely fills in a lot of holes we have in our coverage of the 1-year war. In our next episode, we will deep dive into the Pale Rider. I am excited about this one. Pale Rider is definitely my favorite mobile suit that I know very little about, so this will be fun moving forward. But that will do it for this one, new types. Remember, if Vincent was born during the era of the Titans, he and his father wouldn't even be around to tell their story. You know why. Peace.